Hello, readers. Welcome to Book Launch. We are launching today Worldbreaker by Becca Gardner. The dark hungers for Kasara. It has plagued her since she was a child. She's desperate to control it. As a land mage, she should be able to control it. And resist the whispers in her mind, voices that accompany the shadows. The dark is alive. It wants her. And once it succeeds, it will swallow the entire continent. And Becca is going to tell us all about this amazing book tonight. All right, Becca, we are so glad to have you on this evening.
Thank you for having me. So fun.
Yay. We have to make a confession to our viewers that this is not the actual launch date. This book is a week old. So she's still tiny, if she's a she. I don't know what gender. Still the main character is she, so I think that counts, right? Right. So I'm just wondering, are you sleeping all night yet? With only a week old, do you keep checking the statistics? Like where are we in this development here?
Oh yeah, I stopped checking the statistics every hour. So yeah, I guess that means I'm sleeping through the night. Yeah.
Finally sleeping through the night. You see,
Yes.
There's a thing when we say, that a book is born, we mean it. There's a lot of sleepless nights, isn't there?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot that goes into this. I went to a book, like a writing conference by Orson Scott Card, and one of the things that he said that I really have glommed onto is that he's like, once the book's released, it's its own entity. And I've been trying to think of it like it's alive now. It's out of the nest. Go live. There's more ideas in here.
I can't fix all those things that have been driving me crazy.
Yeah.
It's almost a bit of freedom, though, right?
It would be if the next idea didn't launch right in my head about 2 weeks ago. So I was planning on just taking a few weeks off before I got into the next idea, and the muse was like, nah, let's just do this right away. Okay.
Well, that's exciting. That means this book is awesome. Well, I do want to say this book is one of the books in the Eldros Legacy universe. So it's been a while since we had any Eldros Legacy authors on here. So can you give us a quick refresh on what Eldros Legacy is?
Yeah, I can give you the pitch if you want.
Oh, I'd love the pitch. Please give us the pitch.
Yes. Yeah, I'll give you the pitch. So in Eldros Legacy, it was ruled by giants. Now, when I say giants, most people think tall as a mountain, dumb as a rock. Not these guys. They're 15 foot tall, highly intelligent, highly magical beings. Think like next level of our species kind of guys, right? And 2,000 years ago, they're the undisputed overlords of the elves, the Luminids, Shadowvar, the humans, everyone. But we have a revolution. We kill half the giants, and the other half fade into legend. So when Kasara is starting her journey, she's talking about giants like you and I talk about Apollo and Zeus. I don't think Zeus is kicking down my door anytime soon, right? But the giants are on their way back because we spent 2,000 years forgetting, they spent 2,000 years planning, and they're coming to take back their world. And that's Eldros Legacy.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so exciting. And so there are different continents
that
are now. Which continent is Worldbreaker take place on?
So Worldbreaker is on Noxanon. So the same world where Kaiven's Unkillable, Lord of the Dark, and Ren the Traveler are set in, as well as the Painbearer and the Truth Stealer, which are Kendra Merritt's books and Todd's books were before. Make that a headline. See what happens.
It's just going to be underneath. We got to make YouTube work somehow. You have to have catchier titles.
Catchier titles.
Yeah. I'm like, okay. We're doing author interviews, and they're really fun. If you want to read their books, you're going to be excited about it. But, catchy titles? What do you want me to say?
Yeah.
Author answers questions. I see, I'm a writer, so you would think I'd be more creative.
Yeah, but you can only make a title as catchy as the title, right? You want it searchable so that the title and author and you guys can be found, right?
Exactly. At least that's what I thought. But apparently it needs to be like the worst author interview ever, and then you open it, it's actually fine. So
yeah, there's zero bad things in it.
No drama.
It's author says she broke the internet, and there's nothing.
And it's nothing.
She didn't break the internet at all. See,
Are we back? Are we back? I don't know. I see someone over there throwing spitballs. All right,
Oh,
you audience over there, not behaving. Hmm.
yeah.
Is that what you and Todd do when you're at the booth board? Do you just throw spitballs at each other?
Oh my gosh, we're never bored. That's a side effect of being. we're, we got some strong best friend energy. Yeah, never
Well, that
bored.
that is better. And you do bigger cons, right? So that's got to make a difference. Because so we do some big cons, but when you go to like small ones, then a lot of times we're like, yeah, this is fun. I know I'm not supposed to work back here, but I'm a little bored right now.
Yeah, well, there's a thing that both Todd and I have sort of squirrel brains, so like we're just never bored. Like we're just like we were driving back from LA Comic Con and we were in like this deep conversation in the car on this road trip, and all of a sudden I was like, "That's a big can," because there was like this like cement thing, like painted as a can. Did I derail an entire deep conversation because I saw a big can out the window? I did, and that's how it is. Why I come to mind. Just never know what's going to happen. Just never know.
The minds of writers, like Todd
Right?
said earlier, that it's never boring in here.
It's not. It's
It's
not.
never boring in here.
Yeah.
Sometimes wish it was just a little boring.
Yes. It would be helpful for other people to understand what I'm saying.
Todd says you steal his napkins. I don't know. I
Oh,
don't know about you,
that's a
Becca.
good. That's a good story. That's a good story. It was one of our first times working together this year at Planet Comic Con, and like he pulled out a paper towel and just like put it on the back table on this like black tablecloth, and I like turned around, saw it, put it in the garbage, and then the next time I turn around, there's another one, and I was like,
You're like, what?
what's going on? And I throw it in the garbage, and then finally he was like, are you throwing away my paper towel? And I was like, yes. Are you leaving it there? And he's like, yes.
You're like, it's a black tablecloth. What are you thinking?
Yeah. I was like, I was trying to keep it all nice. And I don't know. I got like mom instincts, It's like, I would not like to waste this anymore. Can we stop throwing it away? So funny. So funny. Yeah.
You need a little mini stool where Todd can put his napkins when he wants to.
Right. Right.
They're
Now
not
he
on the
has to
table.
declare. He's like, this napkin, I just brought it out and it should stay here. Okay.
It is not used yet. It is not garbage.
Yes, it is not garbage.
Yeah, mom reflex, Todd says.
Absolutely. Absolutely, mom reflex. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. No, I love it. On the black tablecloth. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, I was trying to.
Well, let's talk about Worldbreaker because it's
Yes.
Worldbreaker's birthday
Yes.
a week ago, but close enough. I mean,
Close.
almost
Yeah,
starting to
this is-
smile. Can
Right.
a few more weeks, Worldbreaker can hold their head up.
Right.
So
Hopefully.
we're gonna see how long we can pull on this analogy.
Yeah. Yeah, it just barfed. It's fine. It's doing
It's
great.
fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. It was just a messy burp. Everything will be fine.
Fine.
I mean, two moms here. We could really get this going.
Really gross out everyone here without trying hard at all.
I know, and we would just be like, "What?"
You're like, yeah. That's
I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So the book is it? You just have the one Kasara, or are there twins involved? I got confused somewhere.
Yeah, so we've got a crew of 5. Kasara
Okay.
and her twin. So it's Kasara.
So there is a
and
twin. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kasara is supposed to be able to control shadow. That's her thing. That's the big struggle though for her, is that far away from the Noctums, she can have like a little bit of control, but as soon as she gets close to Noctums, it's just wild and it haunts her, kind of crawls up her leg, that kind of thing. So, and it's starting to get worse and worse. So that's her thing. And Ulrich is a lesser mage, and he can like clap or snap his fingers and just do bursts of light. That's all he can do. So she's kind of leaned on Ulrich a lot to just sort of like look like she's got control over her power, but she doesn't.
So he chases the shadow away.
Yes, he does.
Gotcha.
As long as he's conscious, which is a problem in the beginning of the book because he's not anymore. So, and then we've got 3 more characters. We've got a retired pirate queen, Coronata, and she's got this lovely little Kappa cat, which is like my addition into the monster realm of Noxanon, where I was like, there needs to be a cute animal at Noxanon. So I sort of combined all of my kids' favorite animals. So it's got like the fox ears, and it's about the size of a cat. It's got like a red panda kind of striped tail, and like big bright lemur eyes, and these dragon horns and little dragon claws. So it's called the Kappa cat. right?
I want one.
I know, me too. Me too. And I named it Kyvan, so as a joke. So it's Kyvan the Kappa Cat is there. I've already had people be like, Kyvan's like running around and running away from people. I don't think that's what Kyvan would do. Oh, it's a Kappa Cat. It's not the actual Kyvan that's doing all that. It's the creature that's the
You're like, I
sidekick
thought
to
this
my
was going to
pirate.
be fun. Now it might have backfired.
Yeah, maybe. No, I love it. I love it. It's the animal that I would definitely pick as a sidekick for me. If I was living in Noxanon, I want myself a Kappa Cat. Yeah. Yeah. And then I've got like this sort of burly, disgraced cavalry captain from Improvar. And then I've got like this barbarian historian, sort of badass, almost 7 foot tall, like warrior girl, Marilyn. So that's my 5-person crew.
So you kind of have pieces of the different continents.
Yeah, on purpose.
I like it.
Yeah.
I
I
like it.
stayed away from like Usara proper because Todd does that real well. So it's playing around with corners of the map. Yeah.
I like it. That's pretty clever. So this whole story, since you have a crew, is this like a heist kind of story or?
You know, that's the purpose of the group. They sort of came together to raid Naragis and get the magical objects. It backfires real quick, and they end up in the city called Noctimorosa, where they're trying to get a healer to help Ulrich, who's dying. And of course, it's a city that's hemmed in by 2 massive Noctims. So Kasara's power is going crazy. And in order to get the magic, the healers, you know, to get him to help with Ulrich, she's got to sort of get under the control of the leader of that city, who's, you know, sort of vengeful. They might have stolen something from him last time they were here. So they sort of get embroiled in this, but so it's a really good story about
maybe.
They will not confirm nor deny that they stole his ring last time they were here. Yeah. So there's a cult there. There's this vengeful leader. They're trying to get and that's just the beginning. They end up getting sort of whisked away onto a monster island and all sorts of stuff. So it's a fun adventure, but it does sort of circle around Kasara and this need for her to figure out her power, control her power, and like the idea that her power is darkness and that it's a curse. She like thinks of it as a curse, sort of needing to make this 180 on what that is. You know, finding your darker side and using it is pretty cool. So yeah,
it's fun. Find that power.
Yeah.
I like it. We all need to find our power.
Exactly.
That's why we relate too, right? And it sounds like, so is there like a found family element? Like, it's my favorite trope in books. I love found family.
Yeah. I mean, they're pretty dysfunctional families sometimes, especially Atlas, my Improvar character. He's got all of the like attack dog of Kyvan, but none of the I could survive this of Kyvan. So but he's just naturally pretty suspicious. Kasara never told her crew that she couldn't control her power. Only Ulrich knows. And so when that comes out, it fragments them a little bit, and they've got to re-rally around her as they, you know, come to her aid, and she does the same. So yeah, there's a found family aspect for sure. I picked a crew of 5 on purpose because 5 is kind of a cool number. And I'll just like see, we've got 5 kinds of magic. We've got 5 continents. Todd will have 5 books in his series. So
it's so symmetrical.
It is. Makes a good pentagon, which we use a lot too.
That's right. Yeah, I guess that symbol would have to be in there a lot, wouldn't it? 5 would be an important number. Yeah, I love it. So why did you decide you wanted to write in Eldra's Legacy?
That's a fun story. So I went to Superstars for the first time on scholarship. I guess that was 2022. And I was terrified. It was my first time going to a conference out of state and being away from my kiddos and like coming out of the pandemic. And I was just, no joke, went into the corner and cried at least 3 times at that conferse, just overwhelmed.
So sorry.
A lot.
So that's where you met Todd. He was in the other corner crying?
Yeah. Hot cheese tears streaming down his face. That's how I knew. That's how the nickname was made.
That's where it came from.
Actually, Todd and I didn't even meet at that Superstars. Like I saw him. Yeah, but I was very good at camouflaging. I was hiding behind the book, like selling table with like Laura Hayden and Jim Sams. So it just passed me by, which is funny.
Which was okay. That's all you can handle at that moment. It makes sense
to
me.
Right. Yeah. So I was barely keeping it alive. But at Rob Howe was at a table at Jack Quinn's and heard that I was a fantasy author. I'm pretty sure he just heard the word fantasy and was like, "You should pitch to me later." And I was like, "Okay." So I set up a pitch session with him on Friday, and I thought I was pitching something else completely. I was like, "Okay, I'll come with an idea. I've got lots of ideas," and then it turned into an interview, and I got recruited into Eldritch Legacy. It's like, "Oh, cool. I mean, that's great. I'll do this." But I thought I was going to be writing in Shiurin, now Lathranon, because that was Rob's continent, and then I started developing these characters, Ulrich and Kisara, light and dark, right? And then talked to Todd one time and was like, "Wow, we are really, really hitting this off." And I read in between then I'd read Kaiven and loved it. It's the book that I always wanted to read in fantasy, always. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I walked away from fantasy for like a decade being like, I cannot handle pages and pages of descriptions of trees. Please shoot me in the head next time that happens, you know?
Right.
And then I read Kaiven and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the book I've always wanted to read. I'd read it, fell in love with it.
I hope you're blushing, Todd.
Right? He should be. I mean, I tell him this story often, but he still, doesn't believe me. He doesn't believe me. He's like, nah, you don't love it that much. I was like, I do really love this book. And anyway, so I talked to Todd once, and then he's like, "Are you sure you're on the right continent?" And I was like, "I'm not sure, actually. I'm not sure." And so we talked to Rob, and I switched over continents to Noxanon, and then the rest is history. I wrote it. Sort of came in a couple of drafts, but now it's alive and crying 1 week old baby book.
That's right. It's so sweet. Yeah, we need to hurry with the interview. You know, it might wake up.
It better not. I got other babies. You're on your own. You're on the street, Worldbreaker.
Luckily, it's not a real baby. You can just put another book on it.
Yeah.
Just stay over there. Good. So these characters, so you gave us a great description of them. Thank you. Like, I really need to pick up this book right now. I mean, I have a copy. I need to read it right now. So my question is, which one of these characters was the hardest for you to write?
Oh, geez. They're all a little bit like me in very, very different ways. And when they all get into the room together, they're super easy to write because I guess I argue with myself a lot. So it was very easy to stage that. The hardest one, geez, I mean, it might have been Kisara, and not because she was hard to write, but because she was just the most vulnerable to write. I think that was the hardest one, to just really like stay in that vulnerable moment where she's, wants to be this leader, but like is afraid of her own power. So she has to either get rid of this power and become a normal person, or embrace this power and become something she never thought she could. So that was a vulnerable place for me to go. And I really liked writing her. It's just hard. So
that's good. Well, probably helped grow a lot, didn't it? I like that. When your writing can actually improve by you trying to create your writing. You're like, I'm not a good enough writer yet. I need to get better. I'm going to get there. Here we go.
Right.
No, yeah. I love that. Yeah, Todd says watching the dialogue of these characters in a group gives insight into the voices warring in Becca's head at any given moment.
Yes, totally does.
That's not where I thought that sentence was going. That's hilarious.
Yep. It was going to be a compliment about her writing, but it's actually just a commentary about how crazy Becca is. And that's fine. I like being crazy. It's a good writing trait. Makes this work easy. So
never a shortage for ideas.
No. Not at all. People like my brother used to come up to me and like, "Hey, I got this great idea, and I'll give you the idea and you write it." And I was like, "Listen, I just wish the ideas would slow down, So I don't need to pay you for ideas, but thanks for wanting to be part of this."
It's one of those shocking things. We'll call them civilians right now, people who are not currently writers, are not currently doing this. That muggles. I like muggles too. Yeah, my military brain wants to call them civilians. That they don't understand that because they've never actually sat down and done it. They think the ideas are the hard part. We're like, why? I don't understand why people think the ideas are the hard part. I'm like, you just sat down in traffic and came up with that idea. Right. Yeah, so tell me again why the idea is the hard part.
Right. No, but it's so cool that brains work in different ways. Like we'll have people that come up to the booth and be like, holy cow, like how does any one person think of all of these different things? And I was like, listen, it's like air traffic control in these heads, we're just landing planes, hoping they don't crash. That's all we're doing.
I think my air traffic controller's drunk, so I don't know if I would trust him.
There's no peanuts on this flight. We just got to get him down. Just got to stop. Yeah, that's how that is.
That's not a good idea. No, not a good idea. So so you said this one could be a standalone. Do you have anything else in Eldros that you want to write?
I would love to come back to Eldros. This working in Noxanon is a dream come true. Like I started into really getting into reading by reading the like adult Star Wars books when I was in elementary school. Like Heir to the Empire and all of that, right? So I went like in 5th grade, I went from like a 5th grade reading level to an 11th grade reading level in 6 months because I found those books and I wanted to read them so bad that I just like got them, right? And so the idea of like writing in a shared universe that I love, like Star Wars, has always been a dream. And to do that in Noxanon, I love Noxanon. Like this idea of like these big citywide shadows that are alive, that are part of the continent and searching for people, like pull people in, like that is such a cool world building part. And then to have, of course, Kyvan, Laurel, and Ren, those books are some of my favorite books I've ever read. And to be able to add to that at all, oh my gosh, dream come true. So I would love to write more in Noxanon. Right now, I'm sort of taking a little step away because the muse yelled a space opera story into my head. So we're going to be writing some space
It was all that, reading of Star Wars. That space opera was going to come out. It had to.
Oh my gosh, yes. Space opera is a love of mine for sure. So I'm taking a break for sure. But yeah.
I know, I feel that. So are you going to describe every bolt on the ship? Are you going to?
Oh no. Oh my gosh, no.
I mean, I know you said fantasy, but sci-fi can be just as bad sometimes.
Sci-fi can. Yeah, sci-fi can. I was reading a book just the other day that was like trying to tell me every senator that was in the room. And I was like, oh, please stop. Please stop. Oh my gosh. I can't do this. But I mean, the best sci-fi has been doing story and setting at the same time. And I don't know what the tradition in fantasy, like why it's sort of set up that like world building had to go first before story, but it just doesn't have to be like that.
Because Tolkien did it.
Yeah, he did. But let's find a better way.
I'm with you.
Because I don't think you should have to pass an AL exam in order to know what's going on in the story, right? Like, in that, like, the overload of world building in the front can inspire awe, and it can bore you to tears. So for me, it bores me to tears, and I want story. Like, I want a reason to care about this world, and that's why I fell in love with Kyvan. So he does a really good job of building that world right alongside the character and setting. So hope to do that too in sci-fi.
So let's say you have the reader with, Worldbreaker in their hands, so excited to read it. Who do you think is that perfect audience? Because obviously you are, right? Mm-hmm. So who do you think is that perfect audience? Like, who should go pick up this book right now?
Well, that's a good question. Everybody, because I broke the internet to bring it to you. So
She did. It totally broke.
And who's going to put down a baby book? That monster. I'm just kidding.
It's the youngest child, man. Youngest children.
You gotta be nice to those babies. No, so I think that people who have like just a love affair with fantasy, right? So if you have a love affair with fantasy, you're gonna love this book. If you have monsters and suspense, love this book, right? Found family is in there for sure. Again, like a strong female lead that like she just doesn't take any apologies. Like she's unapologetic, right? And I love that. If you like,
and yet doesn't know she's strong. I mean, that's clever. That's really clever to combine those things.
Right. I sort of loved as a kid, like, Xena Ward Princess and Captain Janeway, and these like strong female characters, because they were so rare when I was watching TV. So yeah, I'm just so excited to have brought that alive in Worldbreaker too. So yeah, if you love thoughtful fantasy, but you don't necessarily want to hear everything about all of the trees around you, this is the book for you. So
Yeah, it's the reemergence of sword and sorcery is what I say, right? Like it's not epic fantasy anymore, right? It's more sword and sorcery. So you're just in there and you're going on a grand adventure. So I
Right.
am so grateful that Eldros Legacy is putting out books like that. So, we need to escape and we still learn, we still feel, we still do all those things you do in the big epic fantasies. It's just you're not lost in the
Right.
details.
Right. And I think a
Hmm.
story can be epic. And I think the world building can be epic. But while anchoring you in that character and story,
Hmm.
because like I can get lost in Noxanon. I can. And like there are sweeping landscapes and multiple characters and different POVs but like it, it's just a different style, I think. Just a different, more of like a thriller pacing almost brought into fantasy. So
Nice. So when's the first event you're going to where you're actually going to bring this book to sell?
Um, I sold some pre-orders for it already at an
Ooh,
event I did
fun.
just myself. Yeah, yeah, that's fun. So the one that I'll be at, Superstars, I'll bring some copies. Superstars writing seminar, and then I'll go to Planet Comic Con in March with Todd Fahnestock. So
Nice. And where's that one?
Kansas City,
There you go. So all these
Kansas,
Kansas City people are so
yeah,
lucky.
yeah.
Yeah.
Be there with Worldbreaker and Slater and the Dragon will be out by then too. So book 4 of Todd series, which is phenomenal. Oh my gosh, my favorite part of being his assistant is getting to read books before they're out because they're just so
Oh.
good. They're so good. Like, I mean, it's almost irritatingly good. I'm like, okay, well, this is your first draft, and that would be my 5th draft. It's just, so I gotta temper that. Like, okay, that's not fair, but that's fine. So I can at least read it and enjoy
No,
it.
you have to look at it as hopeful
Right.
because he's written a lot more books than you have at this point.
Yes, he has.
Right? So
Yes.
this is hope. This is like, look, I can be this good too. I just have to keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's honestly, Worldbreaker would not be alive without Todd Fahnestock. And that's not just because, Noxanon is cool and I've set my books in Noxanon, but because I wrote the first draft and then rewrote the ending because I let it sit for a minute and I was like, okay, I need to rewrite the ending. So I rewrote the last 30,000 words and then I handed it to him and he read the first chunk of the book and was like, okay, Becca, this is good. But let's do this experiment. Let's just rewrite chapter 1. Just rewrite it from scratch, not looking at anything, see what happens. And I rewrote it and it was much, much better. Like much, much better. And so much easier. It just sort of flew off the page. I was like, okay, and he thought that I was just gonna like marry that up to the rest of the book and it'd be fine. And I just rewrote the whole book from scratch. So
He's like, wait, that's not what
he,
I meant.
yeah. At some point, he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like rewriting the whole book, and he was like, "Why?" But what was so great about doing that? I mean, I think I leveled up as a writer in a million different ways, but it was also a really frustrating experience because I started writing in short stories. So my other books, Worldbreaker is my first debut like full length epic fantasy series, but also my first full length book, right? And so I've never spent this much time on a single project. My short stories, you spend a couple weeks on a short story and it's gone, right? And a novella, month or two, and it's gone, right? And so this was almost 2 years on this book. And many, many times I wanted to give up. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. And Todd was always in my ear being like, nah, do you love this? Do you love these characters? Do you love the story? And I was like, yes, I feel like it needs to be told. I feel like I need to tell it. And so, yeah, without
He's
him,
like,
it
well, then
wouldn't
that's
be
your answer.
right, right.
Hmm.
So,
I love
yep.
it. I love it. That's so exciting. Look, Todd, the mentor. Though
Yes.
none of us who know him from Superstar specifically are surprised by that at all.
Right, right.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the mentor figures at Superstars. Even without the actual title, that is who he is. Yep, no doubt. So awesome. So now that you've had like this experience, you've written this whole book, and now you're going into space opera, which I'm really excited about. So, because here's the thing, we don't have a lot of space opera written by women. So
That's
I am
true.
so excited that you're going to tackle that. We need a lot more. I know it doesn't seem like, I mean, it's like this genre exists, but we say that we need things in different voices for a reason. Like you said, when we were watching TV, obviously we were watching the same stuff, right? I mean, I had the same idols, and it's like we didn't have enough people to look at to say, I want to be like that person,
Right.
right? Like I always wanted to do STEM. I always wanted to do that, and I didn't have enough people who were women that were doing that, let alone, people of color or of any other nationality or right. So it was really
Right.
cool to see that. So you as a woman to write, and I don't mean there's none, that's not true, but it's still a very limited amount of people that are female who are writing space opera. Um, so, I mean, I just want to thank you for that. So that's
Yeah.
exciting.
Don't thank me yet. It's still coming out.
Oh no, you have to do it. Sorry, it's a
Yeah.
rule now. Did I tell
Yeah.
you we're recording this? We're gonna
Oh
come
yeah.
back. I'm gonna
Yeah.
see it Superstars. I'm gonna be like, how's the space opera coming?
Yeah. It'll be
Because
well, honestly,
we
but then
writers love that pressure.
yeah, we do. We thrive on it. I have not spent 3 days trying to figure out my main character's name. I don't know why that's so hard. I don't. I was on the phone with Todd, and he was like, "Why didn't you just do this?" And I was, "Where'd you get that name?" He's like, "From my brain." I was like, Can you just not be this cool? Could you just stop?" Because I'm looking at all these lists, scouring my research, and he's like, "Well, I don't know. How about this one?" Stop it. Stop being like that. Stop being so good at this, okay? Just
Okay,
pretend to
just
struggle a little bit.
stop.
Just
Yeah,
a little bit.
just for us.
Yeah. Could you just stutter when you said it or something? I don't know.
I don't know. He just said Gorm the space frog. Maybe you shouldn't always
Yeah,
listen to him.
yeah. Then I started calling him Gorm because that was the worst name I found. Gorm.
See?
There. That's how that works. Because I am very mature.
You know what? You just find a word that's easy to replace, right? Just search and
Right.
replace. So
Right.
as long as
like,
Gorm doesn't show up in a lot of other words, you're good to go.
Yeah. It's like, can I not just call him Hunky Space Dude? Like, why would that be a problem?
I mean, you make it all one word, it'll be really easy to replace. Wait, Hunky Space Dude? Now I'm really interested.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's because I have a Pinterest board of my characters. I'm like, this is the picture of him. It looks like a hunky space dude. So,
Can I tell you? Here's a hint from a writer who also has trouble coming up with names. For some reason, every time I have a female character, I just write Sarah, and I couldn't figure out where that came from until I watched Labyrinth again, and her name is Sarah, right? And I was like, I think that's why I always say Sarah first. It's always the first name, always. So I always have to change it. And I'm like, I bet you that's why.
Yes.
But anyway, so I have a file that just says names. And every time I'm anywhere, checkout at the grocery store, server at a restaurant, checking person next to me who introduces themselves on the airplane, right? Whatever it is. And that name, I'm like, ooh, I like that name. It goes in the name file. And then so when I have the what you're doing, you're like, I don't know what to name this character. So instead of just searching online, because then, squirrel brain, I'll get distracted and go all over the place. I can just open the name file. And then once I use that name, I just cross it off.
Nice.
Next.
Yeah. Yeah, I do this thing where I'm like naming characters in like similar sounds. This is the last book. I was like, I can't sound anything like Ulrich because I already have an Ulrich. Gosh, why did I pick such cool names last time?
They'll never be this cool again.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it just makes me think of Heath Ledger. So, I mean, it's a pretty cool name.
Right, Ulrich von Liechtenstein. Yeah.
That's the one!
Yes. Okay, well, the character was originally named Ulrich, and somebody, hot cheese, thought it sounded like urine. So we changed it to Ulrich. So I was like, he's not wrong. He was not wrong, but did I notice it before he said it? Definitely not.
And then you can't unsee it.
Yeah, then I was like, her brother can't be named urine. Sorry. So it's Ulrich. Ulrich von Liechtenstein. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, we just watched that movie again. My son was obsessed with David Bowie.
Oh, yeah, me too.
And so,
my first crush, actually, in Labyrinth.
Really?
To bring it full circle, yeah. My first crush was David Bowie in Labyrinth.
How funny.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, no one blames you, just for the record.
Right.
No one.
Right. Yeah. Even the guys in the audience are like,
yeah, even the guys are like, all right. Yeah.
He's got something.
Can't argue with you.
Yeah, even the Muppets were kind of in love with him. So how could we resist?
Right? No one could. So yes, super excellent movie. Yeah, oh, Todd says if oh, you didn't tell the whole story about the name.
Oh, did I not?
That if his last name hadn't been Acid, it would have been fine.
That's not true.
That does make it worse.
That's not true. His last name was not Acid. That's some creative liberty by the hot cheese himself.
I mean, it's a better story. He's just editing for you.
It is. He's a good storyteller. That's
for you. by
For
the way,
me.
for you.
For me. Don't worry, payback will come later at Superstars. When there's hot cheese paraphernalia, you'll know why, right?
You'll know why. It'll be everywhere. I mean, we have to have little tags, right, for our badges.
Yeah,
So
yeah. That
yeah.
might just be the tip of the cheesy iceberg, is all I'm saying.
I have fondue pots. They'll fit in my luggage.
Right? Well, hot cheese party in my room. Let's do it. Let's do it. I know that there's a melting pot nearby, but we'll just make it better,
It'll be cheaper if we do it ourselves.
Right?
I'll bring the fondue pots. It'll be fine.
Well, technically, we just have to bring the crackers because the hot cheese is coming. He's the hot cheese, right? So he's got to bring the cheese.
It was fun until my mind pictured all of that. Then it's not fun anymore.
now it's less fun. It's less fun. Todd is like, just having a lot of fun with that too. He's like, "Thanks, Becca. Thanks for saying those words on the internet."
All of these images in my head.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that. The legend of the hot cheese just got steamier, I think.
Well, it'll sell better now. I mean, just for the record.
Spicy. That's the spicy hot cheese version of events for sure.
Exactly. It's the spicy hot cheese. That's right. Yes. You have to have all different genres of cheese. Kinds.
Yeah, I call them chaotic Gouda, so that's fun. That's
yeah. Smear them with some jalapeno jelly, put them in the oven. It'll be great.
It'll be fine.
That's right. That's right. Totally make this work. He's like, "Can we move on from the hot cheese, please?" I mean,
yeah, we could.
But we don't want to. Nope. It's funny. I always said we talk more about food on this program if I hadn't eaten, but I ate, so there's no excuse.
You guys ate well too, right? Like
we
roasted
did.
Duck or something.
Roasted fancy. Duck with this hoisin sauce with thyme, and it was delicious, and mashed potatoes, and then green beans with duck fat, right? Because I mean, we've got it. So it's still a vegetable. I don't care what anyone says.
It's still a vegetable. It's a fancy vegetable now.
That's right. I love it. So for Worldbreaker, it's a week old now. You had a big celebration last week too. So I'm wondering, what is your big celebration for next Tuesday? I mean,
are we doing this again or no?
I mean,
it feels like we should celebrate together.
It's a thing now. We're just going to travel around, talk about Worldbreaker. I like that.
And we'll only talk about the hot cheese like 20% or 40% of the time.
It depends on how well, Todd behaves.
Right. Yeah. How just easy he makes this writing looks and irritates his assistant. Be like, "Well, why don't you name him this name? That's awesome and perfect." And he just made up. Just on the spot. So dumb good at this.
How about titles? Is he good at titles too? Maybe we all need to just hire Todd to do our titles.
Yeah, I think we should just hire Todd to do all of the things. I haven't seen something that he's not good at in writing. So, and I see all of the writing things. So.
Well, we talked about Todd a lot, but let me tell you, Becca, you work with him and hold your own. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive right there.
Right.
It's not like he's low in personality. You easily could just be lost in the background, and you are not.
Oh,
so
thanks.
You need to take credit for that. That's pretty impressive.
We make a good team. It's been fun to explore that at cons too. Just make a good team. So.
Yeah. See, Todd says, "Yes, you do." See? So, that's right.
Yeah, it's good. And speaking of titles, Worldbreaker was actually a joke. The title was a joke that stuck. Because I was telling Todd about the monsters I was making in the world, and the monster was describing what it could do, and he was like, "Oh man, that sounds awesome." And Todd is really great as far as creativity goes. When I suggest something like a Kappa cat named Kyvan, he's like, yes. He's always saying yes to these things, and so he's like, yes, this monster sounds great. As long as it doesn't break the world, I'm good. And I named it Worldbreaker. So, right? Yeah. Oh.
Sorry. Plus, Kyvan is famous, right? So they very well could have named it. Just totally makes sense, right? Yeah.
Kyvan the Kappa cat. But it's irreverent and stealing stuff. Very not Kyvan stuff is what Kyvan the Kappa cat does. Runs away, does unmentionable things to your luggage in the ship. Just Kyvan is not not the same in my book.
I don't know. I'm not seeing much difference. I don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's fair. That's fair. You haven't read books 4 and 5, so you don't know.
I have not.
You don't know. No, it's great. It's great.
Awesome.
In fact,
I mean, this could be the character arc he was intending the whole time.
Right, maybe. One of my favorite parts of writing Worldbreaker, honestly, was to get to play with Laurel and Vaughn. So Vaughn is kind of a side character through some of this, through like the last quarter of the book at least. And then I write a whole chapter from Vaughn and Laurel's perspective at the end of the book for reasons I can't disclose because spoilers. But that was one of my favorite moments. It felt like I was writing like Leia and Han. Like it's just like, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm writing these characters I love so much, and I got to reread the chapters and just write them. It was so great, so great. I was so nervous when you looked them over though. Like when you looked over those chapters, I was like, oh gosh, did I mess up your characters? Because I wrote right from their POV. But no, that was amazing. It's so much fun. This whole continent is wonderful. So it's an honor to be part of it for sure.
It's all lots of fun. And, supposedly these giants are supposed to be returning eventually, right? That's the whole plan. So you're just skipping out of there before they do. I just think that makes you smart.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There's a pretty big giant influence in this book too. So I might have
It's getting near.
Yeah, the Worldbreaker is only the Death Star in this story, not the Darth Vader. So there's a lot to it. A lot of bad guys.
I can see Kyvan the Kappa Cat.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you said it? Kappa Cat?
Yeah, Kappa Cat.
I can see him having his own children's book line.
Right. We need to make stuffed animals. We need to do this whole thing.
You could totally make this work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, children's books. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's have Netflix pick up Kyvan and Killable, and then we'll just be in charge of merch.
And then a children's version. Yeah, I like it.
I can do that.
That's all we need. So Netflix, you've got my info.
Yeah, Hollywood, give us a call. Yeah.
Because let's face it, Netflix has all of our infos.
Netflix has our info. Yeah, for sure. They know how many times
my attention span,
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So suddenly they've decided that I need all the foreign language ones.
Oh.
Have you seen that? I don't know if this is a new thing in Netflix or if it's just mine because I watch weird stuff. And so I guess they've decided I want all the foreign language things. And it depends on my mood, right? Like if I am in the mood to sit down and actually pay attention, heck yeah, sign me up. But if I'm trying to just work and I just need a distraction, it distracts me too much, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I've just been rewatching IT Crowd on Prime because that's one of my favorites. I rewatched it about 1 million times, but I might be Moss in real life. So yeah.
So are you going to recreate any of those IT characters in your space opera?
Oh no. My space opera is going to be like mythology meets space opera. So I'm going to be again monsters. Monsters are going to be maybe in everything I write. I always have a cool monster in my story. That might be my calling card. But yeah, I have big mythology in space. So yeah, it's going to be fun. It's one of the only times a full story idea and a full character have come into my mind at the same time. Just like I was just on a
they're
walk.
Never connected. That's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, okay, I guess this is the one I'm going to write. I've got a lot of things going that I could write on, and I'm just, I'm going to write that. So,
push it all aside.
Yeah. It's one of those times I was walking. Like I wake up really early and I walk several hours every day. Today I did 12.
Something
miles.
else you and Todd share, huh?
Yeah. We do some business calls sometimes when we're both up in the mornings, but we walk a lot. And it was one of those times where it's just like listening to the right music and just the right atmosphere, and just all of a sudden the ideas hit. I'm like, oh, okay. Just like typing with my cold little fingers on my phone, so I didn't forget anything. Trying to warm them up. That's how inspiration hits. So.
If you were in Houston, your fingers would be fine.
Yeah. You should see this Viking in the heat. She's not pleasant. It's better. It's better in the cold. It's not. Doesn't
but
work.
The cheese is always hot here.
The cheese is hot everywhere. That's the miracle of the hot cheese. Yes. Oh man.
I
Yeah.
love it. Makes me happy. Um, anything to torture, I'm okay. I'm for it.
Yes.
Um, so I love it. I am so excited. I am so happy to see you here, Becca. So
Me
just over the
so
last few
happy.
years, I wish I had seen you at those superstars, but you hid in the corners really
I
well
was
because I missed you.
very good at what I did. For
Yeah.
being
Mm,
almost 6 foot, I'm very good at hiding. So
yeah.
just saying.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it was
pretty good.
impressive.
Yeah, pretty good. The
I
field
like to, I
positions
pick up
had less
orphans.
of
That's
me.
usually my job, and I totally missed you somehow. See?
Yeah, I was in pretty good disguise. Like I would like, take a little breather somewhere, melt
Mhm.
down a little and then come back and be like, okay, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. And try to like, go to lunch with different people and go to different pitch sessions. I really like tried my best, a little scared Becca to do these things. And now Superstars is where all my friends are. So I
And
love
now
that.
you're an almost famous author. I mean, come on now. It was all worth it.
I
You did it.
broke the internet today. So just saying, just broke the
You
internet.
did it.
I did. I
I
did.
mean,
I'm
if
a rock
anything else, that's
star.
a life lesson for anyone listening, right? Because a lot of us authors are socially awkward, right? And
Yeah.
but this is part of the gig, right? If you had not gone there, if you had not pushed yourself out, Worldbreaker wouldn't exist,
It
right?
wouldn't
Like you said, it's
exist.
not in your world, it's not right. It was someone
Yeah.
else talking to someone else and creating this. And if you had not pushed yourself where you weren't comfortable, in a healthy way, pushed yourself where you weren't comfortable so that you could experience that stuff. I mean, that is an amazing life lesson that needs
Right.
to be written down, you know?
Right. Well, and that's the thing is like the thing that we most want is often the thing that we're most afraid of, right? And
Mhm,
so if we let that stop us, if we let that fear stop us, then we're
mhm,
just I mean, we're just sort of stuck in this cocoon. And that's
mhm,
where I was because I really wanted to take my writing to the next level. I
mhm,
wanted to go and adventure and do new things and see what I could do. And I took that small step and just cracked that cocoon a little bit. And now, like just this year, I've gone to San Diego Comic Con, LA Comic Con. I've finished my first, full length epic fantasy novel, and I'm already working on, space opera series. Like it's it's amazing what you can do when you follow that, right? Like you
uh-huh,
don't like we're capable of so much more than we can even think of. And I think
yep,
the most wonderful thing about writers is that we understand story, but we
mhm,
might not understand that we can control our own story.
mhm,
So what stories are we telling about ourselves? Like I was telling myself in that moment that I was like a terrified introvert and nobody would like my writing and nobody would want to meet me. All of these like dumb toxic thoughts. But the
mhm,
truth is that we can control that story, right? And we can be more than what we thought we were. And if we let the fear win, if we let those demons have the microphone, then we have to stay where we're at. But we can
yep.
adventure and be so much more. So
I
yeah.
love it. I think we should end with that because I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, well, it's
I
it's
love
something
it.
that I'm learning. I'm still learning, but yeah,
I love it, which is also another lesson, right? Like it's not like we're very young and we still learn.
yes,
So never stop, never stop.
absolutely.
So Becca, now that everyone is ready for Worldbreaker, where can they find you in your books?
Right. So BeccaLeeG.com is my website, and Becca Lee G is my handle for everything. So
Oh, smart.
Instagram, everything. So Instagram, Facebook, all of that is Becca Lee G. Yeah,
Excellent, excellent. Find it all over. And is it in Kindle Unlimited or is it available wide, the
it's
ebook?
available wide.
There you
Yes.
go. So it
Yep.
is out there for all of y'all. So please make sure to grab your copy. And we are so glad you joined us, Becca.
Thank
And
you. Thanks for having
everyone
me.
else, enjoy the adventure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.